Hello, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Dear Jesus. So, as usual, this morning, I walked my daughter to school, and on my way to and fro, I had some observations, and that got my little mind thinking. And I reflected back on one of the blog posts that I wrote when I used to publish Dear Jesus on my website, www.dearjesus.com. And I remember one of the stories that I published that someone wrote in. So this young lady from Muslim background got married at the age of 19. So at the time that she was writing in, so she was divorced from the guy. She was now in her mid-20s and she was divorced from the guy. So I actually met up with her, sat down, and I had a conversation with her to find out exactly what happened and why she decided to get married at the age of 19. Was she so struck in love that she decided to get married at the age of 19? But apparently she got married at the age of 19 because she wanted to leave home, because she was not happy with the situation at home. So her parents were bossing her around, and the guy as well. So because she's from a Muslim background, they were very strict, so they didn't want her to be seen with any boy, and same as the young man that she got married to as well. So I think she had given me a scenario of how he had I think he was living with his mom, and his mom had traveled for like a month, and leaving him and his siblings to their own devices. So they used to come back home at 4 a.m. and then all of a sudden she gets back and she goes, "Oh, you need to come back home at 11 p.m. latest." And he turns around and says, "Why do you want to boss me? You left me to do what I want to do, and all of a sudden you want to boss me." And then the mom says, "Well, if you're not going to come home at 11 p.m. then don't come home at all." And that's how he moved out of the house. And she said to him, "You know what, let's just move in together." And because of obviously their religion, they can't be living together if they're not married. They decided to get and so no surprise or little wonder, a few years down the line, they were divorced and they became sworn enemies. And that got me really thinking. As parents, as Christian parents, we're trying to raise our children to be responsible. We're trying as much as possible to teach them the Bible, to teach them, what is right and what is wrong. And then you find out that at the end of the day, how are we doing? How are we going about it? Another scenario that crossed my mind was, like I said, I was walking my daughter to school, and I saw it's very cold here, and I noticed that the girls, I don't know why they do it, but I noticed that the girls, so they have this, skirts. So they wear skirts as part of their uniform. And underneath the skirts, they will wear like a long tight or leggings because the weather is cold, or long socks. Some of them wear socks up onto their knee. But what you find, and something happened yesterday, what you find is that these girls, a lot of them, from, I'm sure, very decent, respectful Christian homes or moral homes, you find that I noticed something yesterday. Like I said, there was this particular girl, I was walking behind her, and it seemed like she had almost gotten home. So she had rolled up. So what the girls do is that they roll up their skirts. I don't know why. So they roll it up on the waist to the point that it's actually very, very short. And if they bend, you can actually see their panties. For some of them that don't wear like tights or leggings, some of them that just wear only socks, you only literally just see their panties. And they roll the skirt up so that it becomes so short. So this particular girl, she was walking home and I was walking behind her, and she had done that. She had rolled up her skirt, and I noticed that as she almost got home, she began to roll the skirt back down. Put two and two together. So that just basically means that when she leaves home, she does not leave home, because sometimes you may see some of these children that and you're like, "Oh, this child is from a Christian home," or "This child, I know this child's parents, they won't let her wear a skirt that is so short." But what they do is that, I don't know why they go through the hassle, before when they leave home with very long skirts. And by the time they get to school, the skirt is rolled up all the way, that is very, very short. So that got me thinking. And I realized that, at the end of the day, as parents, you need to get to the point where you need to let your children live their lives. You do your best, you do all you can, and you hope that they will grasp. I was listening to an interview. I don't know if anyone knows, or if you know Zach Punin, I listened to him, I listened to his messages. So he did an interview with his family. So he's got 4 boys. So himself, his wife, and his children did an interview. I can put a link to the video in the description below. He did an interview. I think it was in his church or something, and so they were asking questions because all his sons, that 4 of them are now grown up and everything. I think the youngest is probably in his 30s, and they were all grown up, and they were asking questions about how growing up, and how they were when they were naughty, and how the parents used to discipline them and everything. And I remember something that the wife said. She talked about the fact that not the wife, one of the children. He said that they liked the fact that the parents did not choke them, with religiosity. I'll use that in loosely. The parents did not choke them with religiosity. The parents did not hound them with rules and regulations. They let God do His work in their lives. And I think that, and I pray, and because like I said, I know we all want our children to be perfect. I want my children to be perfect. I want them to be cautious. I want my daughter never to roll up her skirt. But the truth is, I need to get to that point of raising her to the point where even when I am not there, even when I cannot see her or see my boys, they know what is right and they do what is right. So they are not doing the right things because we're there. They're doing the right things because they know that it is the right thing to do. So yeah, it's just something to reflect on, even as we navigate parenting, because at the end of the day, these children, we will only be able to police them, I use that word in quotes, for so long. By the time they become teenagers and they begin to do, they make their own decisions. You need to let them make mistakes, you need to let them fail sometimes, but we need to be that voice of love that we're always there. Remember the story that I shared earlier. So this young lady, eventually she left because of the way her parents were hounding her. She left home and got married at the age of 19. Not because I asked her, I said, was it because you loved the guy? And she said to me, in retrospect, I now see that no, I was not in love. I was just trying to get away from the situation at home. I wanted to leave that environment, and the only way for me to do it was to get married. So I pray for us, I pray for myself, I pray for you watching this, that God will help us and give us the grace and the strength, to raise our children to be people of their own, to have their own minds, to raise them, to love God, to raise them to know God for themselves. Because the truth is, it is only when they know God for themselves, no matter how many Bible passages or how many devotions that you do, at the end of the day, the bottom line is these children will get to a point where they begin to make their own choices, and you will not have a say in it. So I pray that God will help us to continue to pray for our children and mold them in a way that they will come to know God for themselves. They will have a personal relationship with Him and love Him, because when they do, then we will not be worried about these things. The young lady who almost got home and was rolling down her skirt that she'd already rolled up, that will raise our children to be good, decent human beings, that even when we're not watching, they will do what is right because they know it is the right thing to do. So I pray for you, I pray for myself, that God will help us. And another thing that I just wanted to mention was in terms of discipline. Again, Zach Punin, I was quite encouraged, when he shared his own stories. Sometimes again, especially when we have young children and they're being naughty, we can lose our patience with them, and we can get upset and discipline them. And he said a lot of the times when he disciplined his children, he went back to the toilet, locked the door, and he cried and asked God. So another thing that you will learn, that I am learning, is that God uses these children to test our patience, to test the fruit of the Spirit that is in us, because they would test us. I've got one who pushes the boundaries. So it's God has put them in our lives to mold us to be more and more like Him. Because at the end of the day, the aim is to be shaped and to be transformed, to be into the image of Christ. So I see, and I'm learning in my own personal life, that relationships, children, God uses those scenarios, God uses circumstances and instances, to make me a better person, because I cannot say, oh, I love, or I'm patient, or I'm kind, when there are not scenarios that will test those virtues in me. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening to me. Till I come your way next time for another Dear Jesus. God bless you. Bye.